Hello, LinkedIn Live, and welcome to our new weekly LinkedIn Live. I'm excited today. Hey, we have some comments already. Jeffro, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Pleasure. Guys, Jeffro is a super interesting guy. Jeffro is the founder of FroGrow Web Technologies. You help service based businesses with their website. You're an expert on conversions. You
Yes.
kind of will teach us the difference between traffic and conversion. We will talk a little bit about high converting sales tools, a little bit about SEO, web design, marketing strategy. And Jeffro, thank you so much for coming in. We're excited to hear what you've got to say. First of all, introduce yourself and share with us a little bit about who you are and why should we listen to you.
Yeah, well, like I said, my name is Jeffro, and I'm on a mission to rid the world of terrible websites. Because websites are things we use every day, all day, every day. And the frustrating ones are just wasting our life, essentially. So there's no excuse for that anymore. The internet's been around long enough. There's plenty of tools and ways to fix this. You got to spend a little time to make your site good because people are going to judge you based on that. So that's why I'm excited to talk about this stuff.
This is something that most people don't understand. Let me share something with you and you tell me if you get this. I've been doing marketing for a better part of 20 years and I've served so many companies. Almost every company I come to has a really horror story about marketing. Do you feel the same thing?
Yeah, and I think unfortunately it's why there's a lot of bad relationships between businesses and agencies. Sometimes because the agency was bad and they got burned, right? And they made them pay a bunch of money and then didn't deliver. But a lot of that comes down to miscommunication or misunderstanding of expectations, right? Because if the business doesn't understand the difference between ad conversions and conversions on their landing page, then the agency is going to be like, look, we're getting you all these clicks. You're getting all these ads are running great. And the business owner's over here saying, I'm not getting any new business. Why? What are you talking about? Right. And so there's that disconnect. But you need to understand, okay, traffic is one thing, converting to an actual sales call or a customer requesting a quote is different, right? So you have different types of conversions along the way. And really, you need everything to work end to end. The website's got to be good, your ads need to be good, your follow up process has to be good. So there's just a lot of moving parts. And I think a lot of people don't want to put in the time to figure it all out. They kind of get bored and throw up their hands and like, I tried that. I spent a couple $100 on ads. Ads don't work, right? And then they move on. Meanwhile, the other people that stuck with it are making all this money because they took the time to refine and optimize the ads and fix the stuff. And then, obviously that pays off for them.
I'll throw something at you. And again, I'm a marketer and I run a marketing agency and I love my profession. I love my brothers and sisters that run, agencies. But this is something that pisses me off. I take so many clients from other agencies, not because I try, because they come to me and show me these reports. And I get angry. Jeffro, I literally like the violence veins comes into play because these are vanity stats. These
Yeah.
stats make no nothing to ROI. They don't even impact anything. So if you're building on vanity ROI, for instance, I just started with a company, an electrical company, great company. They've been working with a marketing agency for a while. They're sending them all kinds of things. I went and checked. Dude, their website was like in Russia, according to Google. Okay. They're a DC company. They had 44 people. They're a 129-year-old electrical company. They had 44 people in organic. Okay. When I showed it to the CEO, he was so upset and mad. So, what I'm saying is, marketers, stop with the vanity stats. I don't care if it's 10 million in traffic. If it's not my clients, I don't care. What do you have to say about that?
I think it's important to be an effective marketer. You need to go beyond what the client might say because the client's coming to you for your expertise. And so if they say, I want to get more impressions, instead of going, okay, sure, we'll get you more impressions, like you need to kind of push back a little bit and say, okay, we can do that. But if we actually want this to convert into revenue, then we need to be looking at these other metrics too, right? Because impressions are easy. You can buy traffic, that's no problem. But if you want to get in front of the right people who are actually going to buy, okay, let's talk about how we can make a campaign that's going to do that. Now, your impressions might not be as high for that one, but you will get click through, right? And then you will get appointments. And that's actually the thing you care about, right? And so we need to do that and not just say, well, I gave you impressions. That's what you wanted. Why are you mad? Right? Because that's not what they really want. When I first started building websites about 10 years ago, I really didn't know better. Like I knew I could build websites that look good and load it fast and stuff. And so I'd be asking them like, okay, what sites, do you like? I can make it like this or that. And they'd kind of tell me, but I realized pretty quickly, like they don't know, like they want customers and they're just assuming that a better website will bring them customers. And so once I realized that, I'm like, okay, I need to approach this differently. And so then I switched the way I did it. I didn't do the design first anymore. I started with a questionnaire to learn about their business and their target audience so that I can write better messaging because that's what's going to connect with the prospect, right? And then we can build the design around that and everything else can fall into place afterwards. But once you know what the actual goal of the website is, then you can make adjustments accordingly.
100%. So, guys, would you rather have 1 million people on your website that don't care about you, or 10 that will pay $10,000 for your service this month? I know what my answer is.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be famous or to get recognitions when I walk down the street. I'm trying to help clients. And that's exactly what I was telling you with the vanity stats, which annoy me. So let's break it down. Jeffro, traffic versus conversion. Can you take us through that loop? What's the difference between traffic and conversions?
Yeah, traffic is just, when a visitor comes to your site. So we say traffic because it might be happening on an ongoing basis. You might get a 10 people, 100 people a month, 1,000 people. That's just traffic. But for many people, once that person gets there, they might poke around and then leave, and then you're never going to see them again. So a conversion is when the person, that visitor, comes to your site and actually clicks the button, puts in their email to sign up for your list, or they fill out the form, they request a quote, they actually take an action and engage with you so that now they're not gone. You know who they are. You can nurture them. You can have a meeting with them, whatever the case may be. But that's a conversion when you get them to the site and they take an action that you want them to take. But like I mentioned earlier, there's different types of conversions. So that's website specific. Let's set aside the ad conversions for a second. An ad conversion is just clicking the ad to go to the website. Now, once you're on the website, you need another conversion to take it to the next step from there.
This is something interesting. And I used to work together with a company that did some of my outsourcing on some SEO reporting. And I got so pissed with them because we are working with high level personal injury law firms that, each lead can literally be $1 million. Okay. And they send a report and they send, oh, this month we had 887 conversions. Now, if I send that to the founder of that law firm, he's going to flip. He's going to, well, what are you talking about? So, marketers, you got to learn how to translate and transmute data. Okay. Not every click is a conversion for your client. It might be a technical conversion for you, but when you translate it to your client, you can tell the client, oh, I made 900 conversions on your website today, and the client has no business from it. So now you are looking a little bit silly, if that makes sense. I would love to hear your thoughts about this.
Yeah, I agree. There's got to be good communication so that the client understands what's happening. And it's not to say you shouldn't talk about those conversions because actually that's a good starting point. But remember, with any funnel and any campaign, there's all these different steps to it. So you should optimize them in sequence, right? So yes, you should optimize the campaign first and say, okay, now we're getting up to, we got 900 clicks on this ad. This ad is working, but nobody's booking appointments. Okay, now let's look at the landing page. Do we need to optimize the headline? Do we need to change the call to action? Is the messaging not connecting? What's happening here? Are people dropping off quickly? Or are they staying longer and then going to another page? What can we optimize here? So now that we have a good conversion on the ad, let's fix the conversion on the landing page, right? It's just one step at a time. And if you do the ad first, then you have traffic, optimize the landing page, then you'll have meetings. And then if you're having meetings and not closing, okay, let's optimize the sales call, right? Is there a script that we need to go through, a framework? What are my sales guys saying? Am I not asking? Is the price too high? Like there's all these things that you need to optimize to get that next step or that next conversion in the process. So don't just stop there and say, my job's done. Like help them understand there's more to this.
We have a question here that I think it's really good and I would love to answer. So Hamad is asking how to successfully convert a new person coming on your website for the first time. What are the key points should be considered? I would love to get into psychology with you. What is the psychology of conversion, Jeffro?
Well, this is a great question. And there are a lot, I can give you a long answer to this because First of all, people come from different places, right? They could have searched on Google for you. They could have clicked on an ad for you. And they might have maybe clicked on a link in a blog or a social media post. Those people are coming to your site with different, mindsets. And you need to understand that there are different buyer stages. Someone could be indifferent to you and what you offer. They might not really care. And then maybe they're sold on the need for your service, but they don't necessarily feel like they're ready to buy it. But then at a certain point, they're sold on the concept of what you do and believe that it will help them. And then ultimately they're sold on your brand, and then they're ready to buy from you. So you need to understand who this person is, where they're coming from, and how to talk to them. And that can be tricky in a homepage, because a homepage is very general. It's kind of like it catches everybody. And so you need to help get people to where they need to go as quickly and efficiently as possible. And you need to efficiently communicate who you help, how you help them, and what's the outcome you're going to help them achieve. And if you can do that quickly and easily, then they'll know, okay, I'm in the right place. I'm going to keep reading. Let me see if there's a page that fits me better. Okay, and then you can speak directly to their need on a service page or a product page if that's the thing they're looking for. And the other thing you can do is have dedicated landing pages. So if someone's coming from an ad, now instead of sending them to the homepage, which is more generic, send them to a specific landing page related to the service that you're talking about, because they're searching for that and they clicked on it. So now you can speak to their desires, pain points, hype up whatever you're going to do and show how it's going to benefit them. So it's really about understanding who your target customer is, what stage they're in, and meeting them there. And in the cases where you're going to have multiple people there, just kind of make it easy to get from A to Z and help them kind of self-select the options if that's what you need to do.
Love that. So I'm 100% with you. Never send anybody to your homepage when you know what they're interested in.
Right.
That's just silly. I'll give a silly example. Let's say you're interested in a certain car. Let's say it's a Genesis GV80 with all these things, and you want that. And everybody knows you want that, and then they send you to the homepage of Hyundai. That is going to lose you. So this is brilliant. And please, guys, I'm sending people to where they need to be. Focus on sending people to see what they were asking for. Now, there's a couple of questions that I want to kind of dive in. What are the triggers, or some behaviors that triggers conversions? And how do you create that behavior, Jeffrey?
Well, a lot of it comes down to psychology, like we're talking about. So if you're meeting the person where they're at and you're using the words that are already floating in their head, then it's easy. It's a no-brainer because they understand immediately, okay, this guy knows what I'm talking about. I believe he can help me because he understands the problem, right? He's using the words and phrases that I've been using, the things I'm thinking about, and he's answering all those questions before I even knew to ask them. That alignment is what is going to make the conversion happen. And so that's why it's important to know who that visitor is and where they're at in their buyer journey. And the closer you can get to that overlap and meeting them right there, then the conversion becomes a no-brainer.
Awesome. There's a question from the audience. Mark is asking a very technical question that I want to answer, and then I want to share something with you and see your thoughts on it. So Mark is asking, what's the first thing you check when auditing a low-converting site? We'd love to hear your answer.
Yeah, the first thing I look at is the headline, because people judge you very quickly based on your website. They get there, they spend a few seconds, they read the headline, and then they're going to decide, am I going to keep reading or am I going to leave? But it's that first impression, seeing the design is part of it, but the messaging is really what either hits or doesn't hit. And so that's where I spend, usually the first thing I do is go through it and say, okay, how could I rewrite this? Does it immediately say who this is for, how you help them, why you're different, anything like that to let them know immediately what this is about. So that's the first thing. And I'd say second thing would be the calls to action, because a lot of people forget to put calls to action, or maybe they have one boring one at the very bottom. You can have multiple calls to action throughout the page. You can vary the phrasing that you use. Don't just say, learn more or click here. Like, try to get specific whenever possible. And so if you're asking someone to sign up for your newsletter, don't just say sign up. Like, you can tell them why. Give them a reason. Sign up and get 10% off your first order is way better than just sign up and stay updated, right? Yet we see this all the time. Another thing is making sure you've got this would maybe be like number 3. Look at trust elements. Do you have testimonials on your homepage? Do you have a dedicated testimonials page? do you have any proof? Have you worked with big companies? Put their logos there. Let people know not only you know what you're doing, but people liked working with you and they still want to work with you. And they were okay with you putting their logo on your site. And they actually said nice things about you. We're used to Amazon having reviews, right? Before we buy anything, we want to see that other people thought it was good and worth buying. Do the same thing with your business. So those are a few of the top ones, but we can dive into that later if you want.
Love, I have a question for you. So I have three entities. Okay, I have my marketing agency, which is my 20-year entity. I have my AI development firm that is about 5 years, and then I have my speaking, my keynote speaking kind of entity.
Right.
So my guys asked me on the speaking keynote entity. My guys asked me to put like a founder message, and I've been doing that. It's actually not on yet. But what do you feel about that? But what do you feel about a communication of putting the actual founder and his message on? Again, it doesn't fit with everything. I'm not doing it on my agency or my AI company, but I'm definitely doing it, on my keynote. How do you feel about like a founder message, like a video from the actual person? What do you feel about that?
I think if you do it right, that can be really powerful because we are moving in a direction where everything's video based. People like to connect with video. People don't like to read too much text a lot of times, or they're looking for a reason to spend the time to read the text. So if you have a short video that you've spent time crafting the message and it is aligned with that buyer, that you can have that near the top. They'll watch it. Okay, this guy gets it. I'm going to keep reading, right? And it personalizes you and your brand. So as a speaking business, of course, that makes sense. It's you. People want to get a feel for you, how you speak, what you talk about. That totally makes sense. Fully agree. And then if you're going to do it on a business website, don't just do the video to replace the headline. Do both because some people prefer text and some people prefer video. So if you give the option, you can split that hero section screen, have the headline, and then on the side have your video, and people will choose which they watch first or if they even watch at all.
Love it. Rex Salette is asking, what metrics matter most when trying to connect traffic data to actual sales?
Well, that's up to you. It could be booked calls. That might be the thing that matters. It could be quote requests. Download your free resource, whatever it happens to be, to get them into your ecosystem, right? So if you're using Google Analytics or if you got a Facebook pixel, just make sure that you've got the tracking code on your website so that in your reports, you can get not just the ad conversion, but the actual full conversion number, like people, how many actually clicked on the button to book a call after having clicked on this ad, right? Because that's more meaningful. So just have the tracking code in place and then you can specify which conversion events you care about.
I love it. Guys, if you can't track it, you can't understand it and make it grow.
Right.
So if you're not tracking stuff, you're working on blind. I just had a conversation with an owner of a service company. They do pest control in Colorado. And they're spending a bunch on ads. And I called the owner. He's a good friend of mine. And I told him, dude, spend the money on tracking. What are you doing? You're flying blind. Like you're spending thousands of dollars every week on Google and Facebook, but you're not aware of what's going on. So I told him, I want you to spend maybe a little bit less, but let's track and see how we can grow this. And I think a lot of people just spend money without tracking. If you can't listen to your calls, if you can't have a dashboard that shows you everything that you spend money and what came out of it, you're doing this wrong.
Yeah, and I think what can happen is, we see commercials on TV for the really big brands, the Coca-Colas, the Nikes and things, and they might not actually be tracking every purchase to a bottle of Coca-Cola because that could come through a restaurant. You don't know, but they're playing a different advertising game, right? They are creating an idea in the minds of the consumer, an association, right? So if I drink Coke, I'm going to feel good and happy, right? That's different than what you should be doing as a service business or someone who's selling a product or just either a service. That's fine, but you do need to be tracking it, as that's what digital marketing is great at. You have all this information, you can use it so that you make informed decisions. Now, if you're just paying for these campaigns to try to stay in front of people, that's great. But like you're saying, it's much better to actually connect it to an action you care about to know if you need to improve it or not. Otherwise, yeah, you're just setting money on fire.
100%. Mark is asking, do you use AI in website funnel optimization? If so, how?
Sometimes, and this is great for you guys. If you don't have experience as a copywriter doing direct marketing copy, or even Donald Miller story brand frameworks and stuff, if you're looking at a headline on your website, go to ChatGPT and say, okay, here's my company, this is what I do, here's my headline. How can I make this connect better with my target audience who is blah blah blah? It'll help you. It'll give you answers, and when you read it, you're like, oh, that's really great. And you can tell it, hey, I want to make sure I convey who I help, how I'm helping them, and why I'm different in less than 100 words or whatever it is. Like, AI is great at that. You might still decide to tweak it afterwards to make sure it fits and it's accurate and everything, but that can be a huge help, especially as you're learning how to spot these things. I mean, the more you do it, like I look at a headline now, I can come up with a bunch of ideas right away. But yeah, that's a great way to use AI for optimizing your conversions.
Another question here. What is your process to integrate AI into your workflows to get best results?
So that's one thing. I mean, when I hear workflow, I think of the automation side of things, right? So what you'd want to do is automate any onboarding process or download that you've promised. So it's not like you get an email in your inbox and I have to remember to go reply and say, here's your free guide. Like, no, just automate that so that they get the email right away with the link to the guide. You don't have to think about it. You can be sleeping and they get it. And you can have your follow-up emails scheduled too. So that way, no balls are getting dropped. You're staying on top of it and, kind of nurturing that prospect along. And you can even do this, even if it's not an email to the customer. You can set up an automation that reminds you to make a phone call in a week or something, whatever it happens to be. So anything that helps you not drop the ball and come across, if you have a 10 out of 10 version of your service and your experience with your company, how can you put things in place with automation, with AI, to make sure that happens every time? The consistency that comes with AI, that's one of the huge benefits, right? It doesn't need to sleep. It can just do these things the way you tell it over and over. So that, I don't know if that answers the question directly, but hopefully that gives an insight.
I liked your answer. So let's talk about something cool, or not really cool, but what are conversion killers? What do you see out there that people do that kill their conversions?
Ooh. Well, I think an outdated design on your site, if it looks like a template or something generic, we spot that. We're growing up with the internet now. We've been using it for so long. We kind of have this innate sense of like, oh, this person hasn't touched their website in years. They might not really be either, committed to this company. I don't know if they're going to disappear tomorrow. If I hired this landscaper with a website that looks like it was from the 90s, do I really trust them to come do a good job for me? I want to see a site that's polished, that has before and after photos with some testimonials. Like, that's going to make me feel a lot more comfortable. So if you think that you put up a free GoDaddy template site a couple of years ago when you started the business and never touched it again, and that's going to be good enough, so that's probably the biggest thing, is just thinking you don't need to spend time on it.
Let me interject here, because this is something hilarious, and we don't see it too much. But when I started all the time. People used to come to me and say, "Oh, Zev, we don't get business through our website. It's just there to be there." Ladies and gentlemen, if you do not get business from your website, you are 100%, and I can guarantee this, you're losing business with your website.
Yes.
Okay, people are going to your website and never calling you again. People got a referral or met you and they were impressed, but then they went to your 90s website and they're like, "Yeah, I'm not going to work with this guy if that's how he treats his own business." So if any of you out there is, "Hey, I don't get business that way, I get it in a different way," not only you don't get business that way, guaranteed you're losing business because your website sucks.
Right.
And most websites suck. And I love your mission, Jeffro, which is really, really cool, but could not agree with you more. Guys, take a look at your websites. Have your client or a potential client take a look at your website and see what they understand. I feel so many people are in love with their brand and design and what they wrote on there, but they don't realize that it's not speaking to their audience. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think it might be helpful to go through some examples. So when we say speaking to your audience and making this messaging, like what does that mean? So, generic headline might say something like, "Welcome to Smith and Co. Marketing, your trusted partner in success." Like, saying that right now, it sounds silly, but you see this on a bunch of websites, and people want to be welcoming, so they'll say welcome and stuff. But that doesn't really mean anything. So I didn't learn who Smith and Co. Marketing helps. Is it anybody? What does success mean? Or how are you partnering with me? So you might change it to something like struggling to grow your coaching business. We help independent coaches land better clients with websites that convert. So now, if you read that one instead, oh, okay, this company helps coaches, independent coaches. They're helping us get better clients, and they're doing that by building websites. It's different than if you're saying, oh, we do this through a 6-week intensive course, right? Immediately need to convey who this is for, how you do it, and why they should care. Otherwise, they're going to leave. So another example could be, instead of industry-leading web solutions for modern businesses, like we see stuff like that all the time, but you can get specific. We help B2B service companies boost their lead conversion by 30% with websites built to sell. Again, now we know, okay, this is for B2B service companies. If that's not me, I'm leaving. Great. And you want that as the business owner too. Let the people self-select out if it's not who you helped. You don't want to get on a call and waste your time with somebody who's not a good fit. Whereas if they say, oh, that's me, I'm going to keep reading, boost my lead conversion by 30%, that sounds great. I am spending money on ads that I don't want to just go to waste, right? And that's the whole point. We're talking about conversions. If you optimize your website and your landing page for conversions, you don't have to increase your ad spend. You're going to get more business out of it because more of the people that came are now clicking, right? So hopefully that helps. Give a couple of examples there.
Yeah, give me a sec. Sorry. So next question I have is, how do you create the perfect landing page? A lot of companies mess up their landing pages, and a lot of companies, spend a lot of money, sometimes not enough. But what is, if you could create the perfect landing page menu, what would it be?
So a landing page, just to be clear, is when, let's say they click on an ad, you already know what they care about, right? And you're sending them to a specific page. Now on a landing page, you should remove that top navigation bar that the main website has. You should remove the footer. Anything that takes away from the one action you want them to have needs to be gone. Everything on the page should be focused on getting them to take one particular action. This is why sometimes it's called a squeeze page, right? You're squeezing them. They're like, take this action or leave. Those are your only choices. And so you've got, your messaging, your customer. And so everything is on point. It's aligned with where they're at, what they care about. So you got a good headline, you got a strong subheadline, you got a paragraph talking about benefits, then you got social proof, then you've got an option to click the button, right? And then you got more text. Okay, well, this guy tried it and he got this. Like, you've seen these long form sales pages. That's all they're doing. They're overcoming objection one by one by one by one. And by the time the person gets to the bottom of the page, they have no reason not to click. They have nowhere else to go. And if they're there and they spent that time reading all that stuff, they care about it. And so all you're doing is like, here's the path forward. And so that's the best way to make a landing page, is not get distracted by, oh, also we can do this and this and this other service. Like, no, just stay focused on the one thing. That's the best thing you can do.
Love that. We have a question. How do you make your website instantly feel trustworthy? You put brands and testimonials, but go ahead, Jeffro.
Yeah, that's a great question. But this is what we're talking about. That first impression is super important. So yes, putting trust elements is part of it. Having a professional, clean, modern design is another piece of it. And then having that immediately compelling, helpful headline. Those three together are going to make that first impression awesome, because now the person knows that you are for real. You've put in the time to figure out what you do, who you help, how you help them, and you've invested in the site to make it look good. That means you care about your business. You want to succeed. You're going to be helping your customers, and then all those other elements, just kind of support that message.
So let me share something on the screen here. So Jeffro, you have a website where people can actually go on and basically figure out how they can improve your website, right? So you offer this for free for everybody. And can you share a little bit with our audience? How do you do this?
Yeah, so if you go to frobro.com/checklist, you can download my checklist for high converting websites, and it's going to go through some of these things I'm talking about today. So one is the headlines, and there's some questions that'll walk you through it. You can ask these questions about your own website to make your headline better. Same thing with calls to action, and even the trust elements. And it's a very simple checklist. I didn't overcomplicate it, and you can take this, just go down your website and make some changes today to improve the conversions on your own website.
As we're nearing the end, if anybody has any last questions, please let us know. But can you give me 2 to 3 things you see almost everywhere of mistakes people make that kill their website?
Yeah, we touched on it earlier. But one is just not caring or thinking you don't need to update it. But a website is never done. So that's the other thing. So start by getting some tracking. If you're not using Google Analytics, go put it on there. It's free. It's really easy. If you have WordPress, use the Google Site Kit plugin, and it'll do the wizard and set it up for you so you won't have to touch the code. All you need to do is log in and say, okay. But that way you'll have a dashboard so that you can see your baseline. Okay, I get about this many visitors, this many clicked on here. You'll spend a little time to understand what those numbers mean. But then now when you go in and optimize stuff, you'll see, that there was a tick up in the number of people that actually click through here. Awesome. Make sure you're measuring. We'll just hammer that home. That's number one. And then I kind of lost the train of thought there, but go through the checklist and optimize the different areas, because all of these things factor into how people judge you based on your website before they ever call you. You'll never know that they were there if you're just hoping and well, I spent money. Is it working? I don't know. I guess we need to spend more, right? Like, that's kind of silly.
Or I guess we need to stop. Yeah, no, it's without, like, they're dealing with that with not the mind that will deal with their business. A quick question for you. How do you feel about Google Search Console?
Google Search Console is helpful, but it's also not the only tool you should be looking at. So Google Search Console will tell you how people found your website, what they were typing into Google, which is useful information.
It's a free Google tool.
Yes,
ladies
it's
and
free.
gentlemen, completely free.
Yep. It does not tell you how people found you through Bing, obviously. It's just Google, but it can be really helpful. There are a few things it can do. Like you can submit a sitemap to it to make sure that Google's indexing everything properly, and it'll tell you if it ran into an error or something. So these are helpful things, so you know to go fix it. But yeah, it's great. And if you use that in conjunction with Google Analytics, now you've got an even broader picture of things. But Google Search Console is going to tell you what people were typing and kind of how many people saw you in search results and how many of those clicked. Google Analytics is great for seeing what people actually did on your website, how long they stayed on a page, what was their journey? Did they go to the homepage first and then clicked on the service page and then this one and then they filled out a form? That's really useful info. So Google Analytics is great for knowing the behavior of people on the website. Search Console lets you know how they got there.
Build a journey, guys. Build a behavior. Understand what is in your journey, things that if somebody does, now you got to pay attention to them, and really look at your system as a whole. Like, understand certain things are worth this to me. This is worth this to me, and understand what sign people are giving you, so then you can grow your business. Jeffro, you're amazing and incredible. Everybody should go on your website and do the checklist. Can you share with everybody how to reach out to you, where you stand, and who do you help usually?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Jeffro, and you'll find me there. If you go on Instagram, I'm at jeffro.official. And I also have a podcast called Digital Dominance. So if you look on Spotify or Google Podcasts or whatever, actually Google Podcasts is dead. Apple Podcasts, you'll find Digital Dominance there. And I talk all about digital marketing for service-based businesses. I bring in experts and we talk about all these different areas and how you can focus on them, improve them, and everything else. But I should be pretty findable. My website is frobro.com, and you can see the services that I offer there. But follow me on social media. Yeah, download that checklist, and that's a great place to start.
Everybody, please follow Jeffro, download, and dude, you've shared so much. I hope we can do this again. Thank you. We love bringing experts like you to share with the community. Guys, conversion is a science, and you need to treat it that way. Jeffro, thank you, my friend, and we will see each other soon.
All right, thanks.
Bye, everybody.